Hello and welcome to Gupshup's webinar on creating chatbots on Facebook Messenger. My name is Sohan and I lead developer relations for Gupshup. I also have along with me Shreyans, who is a dev evangelist at Gupshup. Facebook generated a buzz in the tech world with the launch of chatbots on the messaging platform. This happened during F8, which happened the second week of April. Since F8, more than 10,000 developers have started building bots in the Facebook platform alone, which goes to tell you how chatbots are a really big deal in Silicon Valley right now. We're going to talk about the bot ecosystem and Facebook's Messenger as a channel for your messaging bot, the do's and don'ts of a chat bot, and how you can publish your bot on Facebook. We'll be talking about all this during the webinar today. We will also send a recording of the webinar across, and also the floor is open to questions at any point in time. So feel free to ask any questions that you might have. Yeah. So let us start off by maybe defining what a chatbot exactly is. Right? If you take a step back, maybe let's define what a bot is. So at its most basic, a bot is a software program that can send and receive messages. Right? So you can send it a message. It can really parse that message and in a meaningful way and give an output in a meaningful way. So if you extend that definition to a chatbot is essentially a bot that resides on any messaging app. There's been a lot of buzz about chatbots in the last few months. And we'll talk a little about it here. For those of you who attended our previous webinar, we spoke about a once-in-a-decade paradigm shift, but I'm going to talk about it again, as this is quite important. So for those of you all who are in tech or who are familiar with tech in the mid-80s, the PC revolution really began, right? Before that, the only people who could afford computers were governments, research institutes, or really large companies. But then, thanks to companies such as Xerox, Microsoft, and Apple, personal computers really became popular, right? They were affordable, they were portable, and families, albeit slightly maybe rich families, but they could really own personal computers. Some of the applications that ran on some of these personal computers were programs like Excel, PowerPoint, Lotus, etc. And they were very client-side. So if you can maybe look at the first column on the slide right now, and the UI and UX were very native to the operating system itself, right? And people really enjoyed this paradigm, the PC paradigm. It was huge. It kind of brought computing into mainstream a lot, until sometime in the mid-90s when the web really took off, right? I mean, so the internet speeds improved, and it was accessible, it was affordable. So people really started buying into this whole internet thing. The platform there was, of course, the browser, and you had early browsers such as Mosaic, Explorer, and Netscape Navigator, for those of you who use that. You also had a lot of companies that didn't really exist in the desktop era, such as Yahoo, Amazon, eBay, Google, that still exist today. The UI and UX was this new paradigm called a web page, which was completely alien at that point of time. And people were so shocked because the software development happened on the server side. It was entirely new that someone actually logged into a website, and it was hosted on a server somewhere else. So any change, and you could make it, and it would instantly be visible for a person logging in. So this allowed for a lot of real-time and a lot of runtime sort of information exchange. Huge paradigm, and we still continue to use the web extensively. So yeah. Then of course, as as if on time, sometime during the mid 2000s, the smartphone revolution happened. Examples include iOS and Android platform examples. A lot of apps that really didn't exist in the web era kind of sprung up and started becoming really famous and multi-million-dollar companies on its own. For example, Instagram, Angry Birds, Flipboard, a lot of companies like this, right? Taking to another level things like Clash of Clans and Candy Crush as well. Here too, the UI UX sort of stayed native to the platform that it ran on. So you had a lot of Android apps looking like how Android wanted their apps to look like, and similarly with iOS as well. And again, the software development happened client-side. The networks hadn't really evolved to a sort of place where you could do software development on the server side, mobile networks at least. A lot of the apps you download, you keep it on your phone and use it off the phone. And then again, as of on time, sometime in the mid 2010s, which is what we are at right now, the chatbot paradigm really happened, right? So a platform obviously included messaging apps, right? And this is because messaging apps are the most popular apps nowadays. All people do are use messaging apps on their phones. And in a way, it's weird because it's again gone back to a sort of server-side programming, right? when you talk to a chatbot, any changes in the backend is reflected almost instantly. It's a very server-side sort of paradigm. So this paradigm shift has happened. We are witnessing it right now. Unless you've been living under a rock, you would have read all these articles and about how chatbots are taking over the world and how about massive corporations like Google and Facebook and Microsoft really getting into some chatbot action. And there is a reason why chatbots have start gaining popularity. One is what is most popular right now, apps. There is a distinct problem. I think all of us have been in the mobile ecosystem. We're familiar with it, and we can identify there are some problems with it. For instance, app discovery is really difficult in a crowded app store. Pretty much name like a small function, whether it is to check your scores or to book a cab or to edit a photo. You'll have millions of apps just doing the same thing, right? You have an app, you have like 3 clones that you release, and you have an app that does it better, and more clones, more fake apps, that sort of thing. So discovery is really like a sort of broken system in place for apps. Also, user acquisition costs are really high. For those of you all who have probably dabbled in paid user acquisition, you know that you have to spend a lot of money to get a quality user. Even once you spend a fair amount of money buying users or buying downloads for users, you really can't guarantee quality of your users, right? There's no guarantee that they'll come back or they'll continue using your app. Also, most people, I mean, studies have proved that most people don't use more than 6 or 7 apps. So it's really impossible for everyone to have an app that a lot of people use. Eventually, it sort of becomes like a very head-heavy business, where there are few apps that almost everyone uses, and then just really few people using your apps. And it is all these things that have kind of come across for people to make the statement that says bots are the new apps. Like apps might have been the rage like maybe 3-4 years ago, but right now chatbots are the new apps. And it's not just this. A lot of messaging apps are really opening their platform as well. Second, for instance, Slack was one of the first that really pioneered the sort of productivity bots and that sort of thing, and now they're really experimenting with more chatbots on Slack. Twitter, of course, a lot of corporations have bots that run on Twitter that you can DM to get certain information. Telegram has really revamped their bot page and their whole bot platform as well. Facebook Messenger, of course, which will be the topic of discussion for today's webinar. HipChat, Line, Skype as well. Microsoft just launched their SDK for Skype as well. They're really getting into this. And yeah, these are the big ones. Of course, you probably noticed that this list is missing one particular entity, which is WhatsApp. Right? WhatsApp hasn't opened their platform yet, but earlier this year at the DLD conference in Munich, the founder of WhatsApp, Jan Koum, did say that they will be opening their platform sometime later this year. It's hard to tell when they'll actually do it. My guess, or rather our guess, is that they're probably waiting to see how chatbots really pan out on Facebook Messenger and then slowly roll it out on WhatsApp. WhatsApp has traditionally been a little slow with their product releases. They like to take their time in releasing their products and releasing new features for their products. So probably sometime later this year is our best guess as to when WhatsApp will really launch the chatbots. This is a graph from April 2016 from Statista.com, which shows you how many monthly active users in millions are there in each of these apps. Right? As you can see, WhatsApp is undoubtedly the #1 contender with 1 billion active users, which is frankly quite a ridiculous number. Facebook Messenger actually comes in a close second, and they have 900 million users. Right? And then it's not like you have a really long tail. You have apps like QQ Mobile, WeChat, Skype, Viber, BlackBerry, Telegram, and Kakao. Most of these have more than 100 million users, which is a number I think a lot of people, especially on the web now, who might have apps will really kill for. I mean, imagine having 100 million active users, not just downloads, but active users on your app, right? Pretty ridiculous. Among these, if you see the one with the most number of users that has opened up its platform is Facebook Messenger, of course, which is why it is the focal point of today's webinar. Apart from the number of users, we have also been seeing a lot of traction. Facebook Messenger, a lot of people have called in or written into us saying that they want apps on Facebook Messenger, since that's where all the action is. A lot of brands seem to engage with their audiences there, which is why we thought it's really important for developers to know how they can go about creating a chatbot on Facebook Messenger. A little bit about that, yeah. So this is from F8 this year. Facebook launched chatbots during F8 2016. This happened, I think, April 12th and 13th. Of course, caused a lot of buzz in the valley, in the tech industry, and people were expecting this announcement, but it's still, I think, caused a lot of buzz and a lot of articles were written about it. The insane fact is that there actually been more than 10,000 developers that have built chatbots on Facebook Messenger since then. So in less than 2 months' time, you've had 10,000 developers on Facebook Messenger alone. So one can only think about how many actual developers are working on chatbots across all these platforms, right? So it's definitely a very hot space to be in. So for those of you who might not have used a chatbot on Facebook Messenger, here are some of the features. Chatting with a bot is very similar to chatting with a Facebook user. I'm sure all of you all here who have used Facebook have sent a message to another Facebook user. It's very similar. You can send text and images. The one difference is a bot can send a structured message, and we'll come into what a structured message is. Yeah. Essentially, structured message, there are two types, right? You have a button template, which is a simple text with options, like so, like the one you see on your left, option 1, 2, and 3. Or you have another generic template, which allows for an image, a title, a subtitle, a small description, and some buttons, right? And it supports multiple bubbles per message, and it displays them as a horizontal list like a carousel. So Facebook has this fondness for the carousel format. Some of you all might have seen their ad format on your Facebook mobile app, where there is a horizontal scroll and certain ad units. Similarly, they have what they call a generic template, the classic white T-shirt that you see there on this image. Now, the deal with structured messages is essentially for Facebook to kind of have some sort of control over what the user does, right? For instance, if someone was looking for, say, a classic white T-shirt, you would be giving your users a lot of independence, maybe, for them to really type out, I need a classic white T-shirt. And it might not necessarily be the smartest thing to do in terms of really processing that text and, kind of trying to figure out what the user really wants. But structured messages is a way where you're giving the user less room for error, right? And you're giving the user more context, and you don't need an over-reliance on sort of natural language processing or anything. Which is why Facebook is kind of gung-ho about the whole structured messages concept. We'll talk about it and we'll show you a demo about it later in the webinar as well. So what can a user send to your bot? So you as a user can send these three things to your bot. One is text and image, obviously, but you already knew that. One is location, and this is important because a lot of the chatbots that have opened up, rather that have sprung up right now, are location specific. A lot of them, where you send your location, you can either hail a cab. There is an Uber app right now on Facebook Messenger, or you can get places to eat nearby. You can get things to do. A lot of things that you use your apps on, you can do using Facebook Messenger, using a chatbot. And of course, this one isn't as popular as the first two, but you can also send a video or audio attachment. Again, not a lot of chatbots really processing video audio attachment right now, but that's probably like an interesting thing for you bot builders out there to maybe capitalize on and be like one of the first ones to really process audio and video through a chatbot. Yeah. So Facebook for their bots also has a pretty strict approval process. It's very similar to the iPhone App Store as of now, where there is an approval process. They will look at your bots. There is a lead time of maybe 2 to 5 days, where they sit and look at everything, all the instances, all the use cases of your bot, and only then can it be live, right? So we just thought we'll cover a couple of pointers about the approval process so that some of you all who are building Facebook bots don't face rejections. As a strict approval process, they have a platform policy section on Messenger that you have to follow for your bot. That goes without saying, considering the bot will be live on Messenger. We just thought we'll put it out there. There are a couple of things that you need to provide to Facebook, and this is mandatory. Here we go. One is the Facebook page used to test your bot. So you have to make sure that the bot is properly connected and functional, else your submission may be rejected. So this is essentially a Facebook page, a normal Facebook page, where you could go to a Facebook page, hit the like button, and then hit the message button, where you can really interact with your bot. Second is a description and a screencast of how you're using the send receive API to communicate with people. Right? So you have to fill in a form where you describe each and every use case without missing a single one. And you also show a screencast of your bot in action, again with each and every use case of your bot in action. This is important. We've had a lot of bot developers and bot builders who have missed out a couple of use cases, and have had their bot rejected. So do ensure that you actually have all bases covered with this. There are also a couple of guidelines that Facebook specifically asks you to implement when you're launching a chatbot. The first one, I think this goes without saying, but it's nice to put it out there anyway. Don't contact people on Facebook Messenger unless they have agreed to be contacted with you. Facebook's very strict with their spam policies, so you can't really start a conversation with the person. You can't initiate a conversation with the user unless the user explicitly agrees or initiates contact, and only then you can maybe send a message to a user. Yeah, so respect all requests by people to block, discontinue, or opt out of using Messenger to communicate with them. Again, pretty self-explanatory, but you'd be surprised as to how many bots actually break this rule, right? I've actually tried out a couple of news bots that, and I'd rather not name them, but even after hitting the unsubscribe button, I still continued to get certain alerts and certain notifications, which is a big no-no. If Facebook actually finds that you're doing this, they will block your bot. And the last one, don't share a request for individual payment card or any card holder data within Messenger. Right. So as of now, it seems like Facebook at least hasn't solved the payment bit over chatbot. It's not necessarily safe for you to really type out your card information and stuff like that. So as of now, you really can't type out any payment or card information, or even maybe like Bitcoin information and stuff. I'm sure as a chatbot ecosystem evolves, Facebook will find a way where you can tie your online identity to your card identity and stuff like that, and really transact over chatbots. But for now, sharing payment or card information over chatbots isn't allowed. Since we're speaking about guidelines, we at Gupshup also, that's a pretty looking site, but yeah, also came up with a couple of guidelines that you can use to actually build a well-behaved chatbot. This isn't necessarily just for Facebook, but across all platforms. We've also written a blog post on this. You can check out blog.gupshup.io. There's a post with more details about it, but let's run through it anyway. One, again, basic enough, always introduce yourself. When it comes to Facebook, you have to provide what they call a getting started message, right? Which is, hi there, this is what I do, so and so, here's how you can interact with me. But a lot of other messaging platforms don't make that mandatory. Telegram, for instance. It is imperative that you as a bot builder write out an introductory message every time you build a bot, right? For instance, a bot can say, hey, I'm a bot that does this. These are the ways you can interact with me, for example, so and so, and that's it, right? So that at least sets context. It gives your user what the context is, doesn't leave your user hanging, which is the next point. Never leave a user hanging. There were, if you saw the Facebook launch during F8, they demoed a bunch of bots, but all the users who tried the bots post F8 really had a lot of flack for the bots. They really criticized the bots. And this is because a lot of them just didn't get responses to questions that they asked the bot. That could be due to a variety of reasons, from either the bot not understanding what the user said, or just like a server overload, since so many people actually checked out chatbots. But to leave a user hanging is probably like a big cardinal sin. For instance, if a user asks for either the score of a basketball game or what the weather is going to be like the next day, and if he or she doesn't get a reply from the bot, the user is not going to come back to that bot ever again, right? So it's imperative that you never leave your user hanging. Account for typos. Most people would use Messenger on their mobile phones, and most people use mobile phones on the go. I mean, you're either walking or you're commuting. Some people even wrongly while driving, I guess, but don't drive and text. It is important for people to account for typos. You don't want a experience where a user has to type out something, gets very close to, like a keyword that his bot actually uses, and then gets no response, or gets, I'm sorry, I didn't understand what you say. Account for common typos. It's not too difficult to do, and your experience with the user is a lot smoother. Give easy access to help. So once chatbots already big, but let's say people start using it a little more. A user could use from anywhere from 10 to like maybe 100 chatbots a day, right? Different chatbots, interacting with a whole bunch of them. It's not possible for a user, rather not humanly possible for a user to really remember keywords of all those 100 bots. So it's always imperative to give an easy access to help or menu, which kind of gives you all the keywords or how you can interact with the bot. This just makes it a lot easier for someone to interact with their bot and continue a conversation. And the last one is offer levels of customization. Let's take an example of, say, a football match. A diehard football fan might want like a minute by minute update of how his or her team is doing. But a casual fan might just want an update when either a goal is scored or maybe just an update at the end of the game, right? And now, when you are sending a message on, like, say, Messenger, you are invading a private space. Your user is going to get a notification. He or she is going to check your phone. So it's imperative to offer different levels of customization. A casual fan might just want a couple of messages over the course of 2 hours, whereas a hardcore fan might want a lot more. Very important to maybe give that sort of granularity in terms of customization to your users. So a couple of examples of good Facebook bots that we have seen. The first one is called Esther. Pretty interesting example. It was one of the first few bots that was actually released. It was released by this lady called Esther, who, as you can see in the screenshot there, is a product marketer from San Francisco. So what she essentially did was she made a bot to kind of reflect her resume. So you could check out her past career experience, where she did college, what she's interested in, what she worked on previously. Just a very well done bot, and I added it here mainly because I see a lot of people who are going to create bots for themselves. I can imagine like a bot for me to set up meetings and stuff like that, or to check my calendar and schedule meetings automatically and let me know. Kind of takes away from all the grunt work or from the manual work that I have to do to set up these meetings. So something like this, a personal bot for a person, is something that will definitely you'll see a lot of later, and hence I included it here. This is another chatbot called Where. Pretty nice app as well. I mean, the other chatbot, sorry, bots are the new apps, you can add your location and gives you places you can go to and things you can do. Very well designed sort of bot. And this one is Poncho. This was demoed during F8. Poncho is a very simple sort of weather app, but it has a lot of character, and they have extremely nice sort of natural language processing. As you can see with the example, I've texted the bot and asked him, do I need an umbrella tomorrow? And he says, yes, you will want your umbrella. And then later I asked, will it rain tomorrow? And it says, yes, it will be raining tomorrow in Bangalore. So it's picked up my location. Earlier in the chat, I'd given my location. And it kind of passes text like, will it rain tomorrow? Do I need an umbrella? Do I need to wear a cap? Do I need sunscreen? Stuff like that. Very nice usage of natural language processing. If you guys have any other good examples of bots, or you all have built bots yourself, do ping it to us right now, and we'll give shout outs to each of these bots. It's all about the bot building community, so do ping us right now. Yeah, common reasons for rejection or removal of a bot. We've had a lot of users actually write to us saying that their bot was either rejected or was removed from being live on Facebook. Here are a couple of the common reasons. One we touched upon earlier, which is incomplete documentation. If you don't really account for all the use cases in your documentation or your screencasts, Facebook will reject your bot. Just a simple fact. I think they're trying to be as safe as possible in the early days so that they have the users get the best experience possible. Another one is unexpected behavior. If your bot does something other than what is advertised, or maybe behaves in a certain strange way, again, they will reject your bot. They're pretty stringent about how it actually behaves. Hence you have to advertise pretty much every use case that your bot covers. And yes, this is an interesting one. So the first 2 points are actually, you would find it on the Facebook page. But the third one, you probably might not. It's from personal experience. But if 4% of your users actually block your bot, Facebook will temporarily suspend your bots because they think you're spamming too much. This is just a way for them to control this amount of spam on Messenger. So just be careful. Do monitor how many people are actually blocking your bot, and that will give you a fair indication as to how spammy your bot is. And yes, that kind of brings us to the end of the deck. Just a couple of things about Gupshup. Gupshup is the leading bot building platform. We are a bot building platform that allows you to build, deploy, and host your bots across all messaging channels. What we've essentially done is, and you'll see a demo of this later on, but we have kind of automated the grunt work. We have hidden the plumbing so that you can just focus on your bot building. We also have one-click deployment to various messaging channels so that you don't have to build connectors to each of these channels individually. We also offer tools for the entire bot cycle, right? So let's talk about the bot cycle here. And it's very similar to a software development sort of life cycle. You start off with the requirements, sketch out what you need for your bot, what your bot really is going to do and stuff like that. Make the specifications where, you're going to jot down what exactly your bot's going to do and how it's going to work, and then write the script. This is the interesting bit. Usually in the development of an app, this step would be where you would interact with the graphic designer who does UI and UX for you. But now, what if you notice in a chatbot paradigm, your conversation is the UI. So you need to have a script and a script writer rather than instead of a graphic designer. Right, so there are a whole lot of articles floating online about how chatbots could prove the end of graphic designers, which probably is a little too paranoid, but it is an interesting thought indeed. Once you script your bot, you're going to architect your bot, obviously, how you would architect any other software, and then of course start on the development where you build all your bot interactions, your bot flows, add some natural language processing and stuff like that. Then you're going to test it out. We have some pretty cool tools for testing, which again will be covered in the demo. Once you've tested it out in a sandbox sort of environment, you want to deploy it and then publish it live across all messaging channels. The reason you want to really push it to all messaging channels is different countries or other different communities use different messaging apps. WhatsApp and Facebook Messenger are huge in India. Facebook Messenger is huge in the US, but something like a WeContact is very huge in Russia, or WeChat is huge in China. Once your bot is live, you want to monitor its performance, really see how it's doing, how many messages you get per people, is there any downtime and stuff like that. And I think once you're really convinced that it is, running in a production environment and can really scale, you start promoting it, put it up on, Facebook Messenger. The good thing about bots is there's no overhead of installing. When you compare to an app, there's no overhead of installing an app, creating a user profile, accessing it through OTP, then learning how to use the app. Here, it's almost instant. You just search the page and say Facebook, hit the message button, and you have already started interacting with the app. Absolutely no overhead. Once you're done promoting it, again, you analyze what's working for you, what's not, figure out what's not working, make those changes which go back into the requirements, and the lifecycle continues. Right? Again, very similar to a software development lifecycle, but slightly, few changes here and there in the context of bots. So yeah, that was a bit about chatbots and the Facebook Messenger. I'm going to hand this over to my colleague Shreyans, whom I'm going to make presenter, and he will show you a demo of this. Shreyans, over to you.
Hello. Hey guys, this is Shreyans here. I hope you guys can hear me. Right, so what I'm going to do is, first of all, thank you Sohan for the presentation. Now what I'm going to do is I'll demo you how you can build a Facebook chatbot using Gupshup's platform. So first of all, we'll go to Gupshup.io, which is our developer portal, and then we'll log in. So to log in, I'll just sign out and show you how signing in works. So it uses a GitHub account to actually sign you in. And once you're signed in, we'll go to My Bot section. So My Bot section allows you to create a chatbot, create a bot. So we'll click on this create button where I'll give a name for my bot. So I'll just say webinar demo 1 and create this bot. Now, once the bot is created, you are taken to the bot builder tool, which Gupshup has. So we have tabs like develop, publish, analytics, data, config, and logs. So under develop, you have the this section where you write your code. There is some default auto-populated code already in there. You have this button where you can deploy it on the server. We have emulator where you can test it out locally, and console reads out any error in the code. Then the publish button actually allows you to publish on all these messaging channels, and analytics let you shows the usage of your bot. Data is where we can store through the code. If you store some data, it will be shown in this data section. And then configuration is where you can add a key value pair like you do in a config file. and then you have logs which reads out the logs for the bot. So let's go ahead and start with our demo. What I'll do is I'll just comment out whatever code is there. So there are different handlers. There's message handler, there's event handler, there is HTTP response handler, and DB get handler and put handler. So message handler is actually the entry point. Message handler is actually the entry point for this code, where any message from user is actually sent to message handler, and from here, if you do an activity, maybe you make an DB call, then maybe store something in database, then the DB handlers will be invoked. Make an HTTP call, then the HTTP handler will be invoked. Event handler is something where, say, you added a bot to a group, then there's an event where event may be triggered, which actually goes, then this code goes directly to event handler rather than going to message handler. So let me just start off with a small, very simple demo where I'll just say hi to the bot, and it will respond back to me saying hello there. So let's just say if event.message. Now this event and this function function message handler contains all the details about the user and the message user sent to the bot. So if the message in the event is hi, then what we're going to say is we'll send response back to user saying hello there. Let's just quickly test it out locally. Let's just say hi, and it says hello there, so the code is working. So let's just deploy this, and I'm going to go to my phone and start talking to a bot called Gupshup proxy bot. So the Gupshup proxy bot is a bot which can mimic any bot on Gupshup's platform. This is very useful in terms of testing. You don't have to actually go through the publish procedure like creating the page and then creating an app and linking all those stuff. So let's go ahead and test it out. So to test my bot through the Gupshup proxy bot, I'll have to say proxy and webinar demo 1. Actually, I'm receiving message, but I'm not sure why is this. Yeah, there you go. It says bot has been mapped successfully. The next line I'll explain you in a bit, but let me just say hi to bot. And it says hello there, right? So let's go back to the code. You saw that the message was sent to the bot. It checked for if the response from the user, if the message from user is hi, and sends. The other thing which you saw on the bot is thanks for adding. So that is what we will be talking about next, but we'll take another example. But let me just quickly explain that. So what we are doing is we are actually, if that's an event, because we are talking to a proxy bot, and the control is going to this event handler first and actually throwing out that response from here. Now what we'll do is we'll script our bot, we'll make our bot a location bot, where if someone says hi, it will say hello there, please give me your location. Once I give the bot a location, it will I'll show you how the location is received. We'll store the latitude and longitude of the user into the database so that we can use it later, and then we'll actually use Google's API to search for a restaurant nearby the place where user is and display one of that as in a structured message to the user. So let's go ahead and get that code ready. Let's say if user says hi, I'll just say hello there, please enter, please send me your location. Now what I'm going to do is we have another handler which is called location handler. So if someone sends an location, that function will directly be called. So I'm just going to define that location handler and send it context event. Now we talked about data persistence, right? So by default we provide two basic data persistence, which is automated persistence. One is called bot level data, which is bots global data to all the chats with all the users across all the channels. So it can use any that data to talk that data to push anything to any user on any of these chats. And the other one is room level data, which is actually specific to the user the bot is chatting to on a particular instant on a particular messenger. So say say the bot I talk to bot from Facebook Messenger, then room level data will be specifically to me from Facebook Messenger. So once I'll send the location, what I'll do is I'll store it as latitude and longitude into database. So the function for it is context dot simple db dot room level data, and I'm going to define a variable called latitude, where I'll just message object. So I'm going to parse out the latitude from the JSON object and store it. So the next and the next one, what I'll do is store the longitude. So I'm just going to copy paste this thing and change the name longitude, and same way it's the same name in the JSON object as well. So longitude. Right now, since we are storing data in the room level or the basic, we'll call it basic persistence, there has to be an exit. There has to be an exit point for it to commit. So the exit point is the method context or send response, which sends response to the user. So what I'll do is I'll just send out the latitude and longitude to the user so that he knows, and ask him to say next so that we can do our next stuff. So we'll just say send response, and we'll say your lab, and I'll just copy this and just say, and we'll keep a space, and your long, which will be this. Let's give a line break as well, right? So now let's deploy this, and we'll actually send the bot my location. And it says your lat and long is this and this. So now I showed you that we added it to the room level data. Let's go to the data tab and see if the room level data has stored it. And you can see that the latitude and longitude has been stored. Now the key is room, and this is my unique ID on Facebook, which is being displayed here. So corresponding to my unique ID, the latitude and longitude is stored, and this is very specific to that particular user testing the bot. Next, what we'll say is we'll ask user to say next here, and then we'll do something on that. Type, we'll just say type next. And oops, I deployed it. I had to write code here to handle next as well. So let's just say if event dot message equals next. So what I'm going to do is I'll create a structured message, like Sohan showed you that there are two types of structured message. One is the button one, where you have a question and you have multiple options. So let's create that one of those. So let's just say var question. Now to create that, you need to form a JSON. That JSON is actually available in the documentation which we have on our portal. So I'll just copy that and modify it. This is the documentation we have on our portal. So I'll just copy it and paste it here and change a few stuff here. So I'll change the question to what would you like to do, and in options I'll just say eat and say drink, and let's remove butterscotch. Right now this JSON has to be sent as a string to our server so that we can post it to the to Facebook. So just say context.send response, and I'll stringify the JSON and send it. So let's just deploy this and we'll test it out how it works. So I'll just say next because we have already sent it our location, and you can see the structured message has appeared, eat or drink. So right now if user clicks on eat or clicks on drink, it will send me back a message saying okay, user has selected eat or drink. We have not handled that in our code, so let's handle eat and let's see how we can make an HTTP call to Google API and parse out one of the restaurant name and display it to the user in the next structured message, which is carousel, which Sohan was talking, right? So let's do that. So let's go say if event dot message. Now it will come as eat. So if user says eat, what I'm going to do is now I have users latitude and longitude in my database. So I'll pull that longitude and latitude out and use it in the maps API. So let's just say lat equals, and to access that is the same code, context.simple db.room level data dot latitude. So this will give you the value from database if it exists. And long, let me just do this. Right, and let's form the URL for API call. Now here is the API which has my API key and everything in it. So I'll just actually form that. Now I have to replace the latitude and longitude with what we have in our database. So let's just say lat, replace them. Now we'll make the HTTP call. The method to make HTTP call is context.simple HTTP dot make get, right? And I'll just pass the URL to it because we are making just a get call. As I mentioned earlier, this get call, now response of this get call will actually come in HTTP response handler. So let's parse out the JSON. We can see that everything is under results, and we'll parse out the name, one of the name and one of the icon, and send it out as a carousel to the user. So let's just start. We'll say var so since it's a hotel name, I'll just name it hotel object and dot parse and event dot get resp. So this is the element which gives the response of the HTTP call, and we'll say now there it has multiple responses. What we'll do is create a random integer and pass it to the array to parse out. So we'll just define something called random. We'll say math.floor and math.random plus math.random. We'll just keep it till 3, not more than that. Let's just do 4 and not more than that, and that's it. And we'll parse out the name. So name would be hotel object dot, it's here it's actually results. So results, we'll copy that, results, and random dot, it was name, so we'll parse out name first, and I will parse out the icon. Just copy paste this again. So since the results is an array, we have to do this. So now for the JSON for sending out to create that carousel view is different. So we'll again go to our documentation and uh, pull out how to send that. So the JSON is here. We'll copy this and we'll define a variable and assign this to this. Let me remove some of the code from here because we are using only one. So let me explain some. It says type, so the type is catalog, so it will display it as carousel. Replies contain like and by, I'll just say direction. So these will be the action buttons into that carousel, and item contains a title which I'll say it as name. So it will be displayed like you saw there. It said white t-shirt, and image and the image URL would be the icon, right? Now this again has to be sent as string. So JSON dot cat, right? So let's deploy this, and it's been deployed. So what I'm going to do is I'll open up my chat and I'll select eat. Oops. Let's check what's wrong in the, I think I made a mistake. So let's just see why this is not working. Okay, I messed out on this string. It's stringify. So let's deploy this again. Right. Let's go and we'll select eat again. Okay. There's something again missing out here. Just a moment. Okay, well, not sure what's wrong in this. So let me just show you, let's not, since we are running short on time, let me just show you a default code, how the carousel will look. So I'll actually comment out all these and say var cat, and we'll just type that same code here. And let's just and you can see that it appeared. So there might be some problem with the code which I wrote. So you can see the carousel view has appeared. So same way it would have done for the hotels as well. So I displayed almost all the features which Facebook offers, apart from sending and receiving image. But for that, we are running really short on time, and we'll have the document up, and we'll have the document here in the doc section for that. You can check that out. What I want to touch upon is the actually we tested this out through our proxy bot. So let me show you how you can create your own bot and test it out, use and publish it through Gupshup's platform. So let's just go to my account and we'll create a page quickly and create an app along with that. So let's just say food and beverages and say test page. We'll just name it test page. We'll just skip all these methods for now. I'll skip all these and create the page. So page is already created. We'll go to developer.facebook and apps so that we can create an app. Let's just create an app. We'll name our app as test app, and we'll just give any email address to it, and we'll create the app ID. It will ask me which shows tiger, so let me select all photos. It shows tiger. And my it will ask me to add a product, so let's say messenger because we are going to use messenger, and we'll say get started. Now here we have to set the webhook and we need the token from here. So first we'll here on Gupshup's bot builder, and we'll go to publish tab and we'll click on publish, and it says here you can find the menu get started and set up webhook. From here we'll have to copy the webhook, which we'll have to set here. So let's set up the webhook. We'll set up the webhook, and we'll also copy the token which that webhook will accept for our platform, and we'll select all these. We'll say verify. Once the webhook is set up, we'll select the page for which we need the token, and Facebook will ask me for all these permissions, and it generated. So I copied the token. Let's in the same publish tab, let's go to submit page token. We'll submit the token, and it requires page ID. So here is the page ID from URL. Let me copy that. You can also go to about and say, and for your app, if you want to get started message, you can say hello there, and we'll submit this. Once this is successfully submitted, if the bot works, we'll click it has a get started button. Let's say get started, and it says hello there. Now we created all these things where say hi, and it's asking for location, but I cannot give location from my browser. I need to be logged in into my phone. So let's just say eat, and it will give me the carousel because it goes to the flow. It tries to make that API call, and we have hard coded this. So right, you saw that this test page started working as your bot. Now this is not live to everyone because you will have to it has to be approved by Facebook to be publicly live, but you can add people as testers, going to settings and developers. You can add people here saying page roles, and sorry, not here. You can go to app and actually add people as developer and testers for your beta testing, and then once Facebook approves it, it will be available for everyone. So that's it for the demo. Thanks for bearing with me. I know there were some hiccups, but over to you, Soham. I guess we are ready for taking any questions.
Thanks, Shreyans, for that great demo. Hope all of you guys like the demo and would start building out your Facebook bots anytime soon. We are taking questions. We have a couple of questions in already, but if there are more questions, do keep sending it in. The first question comes from Joanna, who asks if she can host a bot on her own server. The answer is yes, Joanna. So what we showed you is essentially the bot builder tool where we take care of all the plumbing, and we give you hosting. But if you can just see, there's an option that says callback URL. Chance if you can just click on it, yeah. That's the one. So a lot of people would want more control over their bot and maybe want already have some bot logic up and running or some databases up and running and servers up and running. So you can just add the endpoint of your server, and every time a message is sent to your bot, that endpoint is hit. You can choose how you want to parse those messages and then make certain API calls as well. We have a list of APIs that you can use to send out messages on each of these messaging platforms. Just check the API page, and yeah, you should be fine. So yeah, the answer is yes. Okay, a couple of more questions coming in. Ted asks if what about spam? How are these messaging apps really tackling them? We covered a bit of that in the presentation, Ted. So Facebook is very particular about it. They have a strong approval process. They will block, if 4% of your users block the app, they will temporarily suspend your app. You can't really initiate conversation with the bot unless unless you have provided consent for the bot to talk to you, stuff like that. There are some, so each messaging app has its own sort of nuance through which it deals with spam. There are some that are strict, some not so strict. For instance, Telegram isn't very strict with spam. The bot process, creation of bot process also is a lot easier. You can, like in 2 minutes, actually have a bot live that's up and running on Telegram as opposed to an approval process on Facebook. So, but they also do have internal sort of limits by which they check the number of messages a bot can really send to a user. If they see like a lot of spam or a lot of automated messages going out, you will again get blocked. So each messaging app has their degree to which they will tolerate like a sort of spam sort of behavior. But as a bot builder, I think you should be in mind that you are reaching users' private spaces, and you will be hitting their notifications and stuff like that. So be wary with what you're really sending to your user. Okay, so Zhao is asking a question. Can you ask the user for username and password for authentication in external DBs? Good question, Zhao. You can, but it's not probably very recommended. User might not really want to part with his username and password considering you won't be encrypting it, right? That would be a slightly unsafe way to do it. Maybe what you can use if you're using, like say, Facebook Messenger, use sort of the Facebook graph to really authenticate the user, something like that, like a slightly different, safer mechanism than just asking for a username password. So yeah, hope that answered your question, Jao. Ganesh asks about natural language processing and NLP, how he can, his exact question, how can I integrate NLP into my bot? Good question, Ganesh, a question that we get asked quite a bit, in fact. Again, if you see, there is a wit.ai tab in the bot builder itself. Maybe you can click on wit.ai. Yeah. So our bot builder tool is integrated with wit.ai, which is Facebook's AI and NLP parsing tool. We just thought that since AI and NLP is a very complicated topic, that it warrants its own sort of webinar by itself, right? So in our next webinar, we will probably be covering a lot about natural language processing, how you can add that to your app, how to really process messages that are coming in from user. I mean, for instance, if a user wants to book a hotel in New York 2 days from now, there are maybe like 30 different ways he or she can really say it, right? And you really need like good NLP, good natural language processing to really figure out what the user is trying to say. So we thought it warrants like a webinar by itself. So we will be talking a lot about NLP in our blogs and our next webinar. Yeah. Any other question? Yes, one more question from Zhao. Can the bot initiate the conversation itself? Example, a reminder a week after the first conversation. Yes, Zhao, that can happen. The first initiation of contact should be from the user. After that, the bot can initiate conversation, but also note that if a user gets tired and says, you know what, I want to opt out of messages or stop sending messages or unsubscribe, then you can't again initiate conversation. I mean, that's the general convention here. For instance, you can maybe try the CNN or the TechCrunch bot. It sends you like either daily or weekly updates. But once you unsubscribe from it, it'll stop sending you updates. But if you still want to go talk to it and say, give me today's latest stories, you will still get stories. So that's how you can really handle it. Okay, then one more question. Maybe after this, we'll have time for a last question. Abhishek asks, what is the pricing for Gupshup? A nice question, Abhishek. So essentially, Gupshup is a platform, so it's an infrastructure that we're providing. So the pricing will be similar to some of you all might use like Amazon AWS and stuff like that. The pricing, to be exact, as an introductory offer is 100,000 API calls free per month, which is quite a bit. Post which we will charge $1 for every 1,000 API calls. Right? Just to repeat, that's 100,000 API calls free per month. Post which it's $1 for every 1,000 calls. Of course, a lot of y'all might actually have bots that are have a lot more traffic, but so we can work out custom deals based on if you have more volumes and stuff like that. Okay, and any other questions coming in? Okay, so I think that's it. No more questions. If you do have any questions, feel free to write into us. We have a support website. Do write into us at any point of time, and we'll be happy to take your questions. You can also contact us on Facebook and Twitter as well. Hope this demo and this presentation was useful to you. Hope you guys start building bots soon. Would love to see and hear about your bots as well. So yeah, happy bot building. Have a nice day, and stay in the loop. We will be hosting more webinars soon. See you soon. Yeah, thank you.